Hello, it's Adil bringing you a review of the German DAX from an intermarket analysis perspective. Okay, well, basically, summary. What do we have here with regards to the fundamentals regarding the German DAX? Okay, so the economic data came out this week slightly better than expected, showing some resilience with regards to Russian sanctions. But overall weakness, okay, as stated by the Bundesbank and obviously Mr. Draghi as well. His comments were obviously out of the Jackson Hole meeting. Okay, so expecting deflation, although he is trying to combat that, but not with QE, with negative deposit rates for now. And obviously the Russian-Ukraine situation, standoff, etc. continues. So basically, geopolitics are dictating everything right now from my perspective, and obviously the market's not priced that in. The market seems to be on some sort of euphoric move higher, led by US indices. Okay, so I've already covered that in my US video on Friday, and obviously the UK video as well. So certainly watch those videos, and that'll give you an insight from that perspective. Okay, so the overlying fundamentals regarding the German DAX. Okay, so the euro obviously weaker is obviously helping European indices because obviously that helps exports from that perspective. But from the geopolitical standoff, obviously weaker economic data. Well, weaker economic data expected going forward due to the Russian sanctions that are obviously biting, and obviously world growth obviously subsiding as well. So we have the Russian-Ukraine standoff obviously escalating on Friday with regards to the Russian aid convoys obviously going through without consent, and they are obviously headed back for now, but that certainly doesn't leave that well, let's just say a positive light, let's put it that way, because we've got some reports just over the weekend where Ukraine rebel leaders speaking Russian TV says rebels are retaking some villages and starting an offensive against government troops. So the situation certainly remains very, very, very volatile there and very fragile and can break at any point. Adding the fact that we've got the Hamas and Israel situation obviously escalating. We've had this volcano erupting in Europe over the weekend as well. That's certainly going to weigh on things. I can just do a little search on Google just to confirm that Iceland volcano eruption. Okay, so that I remember last time certainly hurt the market. So Iceland has issued a red alert to aviation after indications of a possible eruption under the country's biggest glacier. The Icelandic Met Office warned that a small eruption had taken place under the XXXXX ice cap, Dingijujokuli. Seismic activity is continuing at the Bardarbunga volcano. Airspace over the site has been closed, but all Icelandic airports currently remain, authorities say. Europe-wide alert has also been upgraded. European Air Safety Agency Eurocontrol said it would produce a forecast of likely ash behaviour every 6 hours. So obviously that's going to hurt the European markets and travel, etc. Remember that certainly was a geopolitical event that caused the markets to slide. So keep an eye on that. Okay, that's an additional geopolitical concern. Obviously, the situation in regards to Iraq and ISIS, certainly sectarian warfare, etc. That's certainly going on there. That's certainly not a good idea. Well, certainly not a good idea, but certainly not a good idea by the Americans, basically, anyway, to create that friction. Okay, UN call to prevent. I mean, this sums it all up. UN Iraq conflict. UN warns of possible murder massacre, etc. I don't know. God knows what's happening in that country right now. Really, the US is responsible for that because it invaded. UN call to prevent Iraq massacre. Iraqi town being starved to death, etc., etc. So certainly not looking good. Okay, the militia seizes Tripoli airport. Obvious situation in Libya is not out of control as well. So the whole Middle East certainly at present is like a tinderbox ready to erupt. So that certainly doesn't bode well for stocks and from an economic standpoint as well. So that's certainly not looking good. Okay, so watch out for Eurozone data. Overall, the concern is that Germany is obviously going stronger than expected there, and with obviously the rest of Europe is certainly withering away. Therefore, the Bundesbank has already stated last week that it's okay and it's accepted the negative deposit rates, but it's not open to QE. They're not comfortable with doing QE, and if that's the case, then obviously there's nothing to propel the the equity markets higher. And also the euro itself predominantly has been going lower, not because of deflationary concerns and not because of the QE expectation, but more to do with US dollar and the hawkish stance from Miss Yellen, which technically should cause equity markets to slide, but given the light volume and other forces at play, which I think we all know with regards to Yellen's algos, the markets certainly continue to move and propel higher. Okay, so now that I've stated that geopolitical politics and obviously hawkish stance from central banks plus weaker economic data is expected to take the Eurozone down, namely the Russian-Ukraine standoff. Okay, now let's have a look at the actual technicals. Okay, so if you look at a weekly chart, given the fact that it's a weekend, okay, we do have a bounce from here. We are looking to create a potential HNS top for the German DAX, so it's just a matter of time. We've had a bounce this week and looking to create this right shoulder and obviously move lower. That's from the weekly perspective. On a daily chart perspective, we're into gap fill resistance. Okay, so watch out for that, folks. Gap fill resistance, that gap is certainly held. And looking to break lower, so it could be classed as a bear flag. Okay, so what will cause this to move lower? Obviously, no QE, number one. What will cause this to go lower? Geopolitics, number two. Obviously, Russia, Ukraine being the main focal point. Okay, obviously talks breaking down because the market certainly has factored in talks or some sort of peace agreement, etc. Obviously, any signs of those breaking down, this will send the markets lower. And also, US markets obviously starting to move lower. So, given the fact that the Nasdaq, which is its compatriot, the biotechs are into resistance, the semicons are into 75% resistance, and the Nasdaq has put in a doji. And if you look at a 10-minute chart, it's putting an intraday triple top. So that's certainly indicating resistance, therefore looking for a move lower. Okay, so if that's moving lower, then obviously that will help the German DAX move lower, given the fact that it's held gap fill resistance and looking for a potential move lower. Now, if you look at a 60-minute chart, as we know, we had a rising contracting wedge pattern. That wedge pattern has now, rising contracting wedge pattern has obviously broken out to the downside. So where does that leave us? So looking at a 60-minute chart, we've closed a gap here. That was a key resistance level. Now we're looking to put in a potential HNS formation, so watch out for that. So there's your left shoulder, obviously is already gone in, looking for a head which has already gone in, looking for the right shoulder which is there. Down we go. So if you look at the neckline to the head, let's just project this movement lower. Let's just have a look here, from here to here. Okay, so what we focused on? We focused on the unfilled gap below, so therefore bias is bearish for the German DAX, looking for this gap to close here. Okay, so if we take the high at 9410, take it to the neckline at 9285, then you're looking at a move of around 140 points, if that. And so looking at 9280, 9285 region to the 9410 region, then you are looking for a propelled movement higher, now no lower. Now I do expect this gap to close at 9100, so watch out for that. So that's your German DAX. So rising contracting wedge is broken down. We're looking for a right shoulder here. Obviously, if you look at it from a technical point of view, I'm tired. I had a cricket match today, we won, so certainly tired. Okay, so 75% fib obviously held for the right shoulder. Down we go, a breakdown, a lower high, and looking for a potential move lower. So 9180, no 9280, obviously 9415 to get the right, 9415, 9285. Then you're looking at a movement there, 9285, 130, 130 going down, 9255, 9155. So you look at 9155, and obviously given the fact that we more than likely will wick out here, 9100 is certainly feasible. So watch out for that pattern going into next week for the German DAX. Okay, so this is a key trend line that we've had. Obviously we've broken, we had that HNS formation which has played out, and now where does that leave us? Okay, so let's just draw my chart lines. That's 1120, there's 1630 close there, That's where we close. That's where we open. Okie dokie. Right, understand. Okay, so where art thou? Okay, so that's basically where we are from that perspective. The only trend line that I can see for now is there, and looking for a potential propelling move lower. Okay, so we're going to be, if we do propel higher, then that's certainly a level that we have to watch out for, 9370. I very much doubt that now, but it has been very, very volatile given the Russian aid convoy shenanigans on Friday. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, so yes, certainly interesting. Okay, so this is where we are. Okay, and basically you have your resistance levels that are in. We do have a retracement here, so obviously we held this retracement into 75%. Now we have a retracement of 61%. So looking for further move lower, although this bottoming tail certainly needs to be respected given the fact that we did go to 9290 and it was certainly volatile. So the real mess intraday, okay, but from my perspective is watch out for resistance at 9380, obviously if we gap higher, but I don't expect that. I certainly expect to move lower. But again, the market will dictate. We can claim and state whatever we want, but the market is the ultimate judge and that will be dictating. Okay, so that's basically where we are from that perspective. So that's another trend line that's going to be quite important. Okay, once we break this level here, 9300, then obviously the floodgates open and we all know the gap is at 9100. So watch out for a geopolitical event. Okay, and so yeah, resistance again will be 9390, obviously 9415, which is a high. I don't expect anything above the 75% fib, so I'll certainly be happy to short the German DAX based on that, and obviously a move lower. So that's basically where we are, folks. So risk on, risk off, wax on, wax off. Goodbye now.